just let people talk, ask a question, and then shut up. We were able to just make this genuine connection about something that had absolutely nothing to do with a software tool. Cordelia, you have said, I don't know, more times than probably any other salesperson that I've ever worked with. Only thing that we can control is our reaction and response.
This is the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Each episode, we sit down with bold thinkers and industry trailblazers to uncover the strategies, stories, and sparks of inspiration that drive growth and transformation. Let's get started.
Well, hello. Here we are at Pass the Pitch. And today I get to speak to the fabulous Cordelia Calderon. If you don't know her, she is a dynamic, passionate sales leader driven to drive great, productive teams in the most diverse, inclusive, fashionable way. And I have to say, Cordelia, I look at LinkedIn and I love the way you started because you say human-centric, passionate, and results-driven people leader with more than 10 years of progressive experience in leadership, operations, sales, recruitment, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm also going to add belonging to that. So I have to say, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's an honor. I've been so excited for this conversation. So happy to be doing this with you.
Terrific. So we're well into season 4, and I'm looking to do something a little bit different in this season. I want the audience to really get to know the guests that are on their show, but we're going to have fun, and I'm just going to dive right into it. I feel like a great place to start is with your origin story. How did you become who you are? Like maybe paint a little bit of a scene of your earlier years and who or what shaped your direction?
Yeah. I love that question. And I've been thinking about it. I think where my head goes first is my parents. So originally from the Twin Cities. So I grew up in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And my dad actually finally just retired recently, but he has worked for Habitat for Humanity for my whole entire life. So grew up going to home dedications with him and just being able to see the steward in the community and the leader in the community that he made a career out of. And my mom is and was, she is now retired as well, but a teacher, a professor, and a poet. So just really, really proud to be their daughter. And I think a lot of the things that they instilled in me was all about work ethic. I saw them work incredibly hard all throughout my life. And, day I turned 16, it was like, okay, time to go get a job. And so I've just loved working ever since, but trying to figure out a way to make a community impact every step of the way as well.
That's fantastic, Cordelia. It's amazing. Like when you have, when we're fortunate enough to have parents that can really build a solid foundation for you, I think is so critical. Maybe tell me a little bit about a moment when you almost quit and what kind of kept you in the game.
Yeah, there's a couple that I think come to mind for me. So when I went to University of Iowa for college, go Hawkeyes, and I graduated and moved to Chicago like a week later. I had a job lined up working for Target as an executive team leader at 2 different stores here in the city. But the first store that I was placed at, it was the busiest store in the company at the time, and it was really intense in your young 20s and you're in a city you don't know with nobody that you know. And it was all I spent my time doing. I know those retail hours are no joke. And so I think a quote that I was actually telling my husband this a couple nights ago that has still to this day stuck with me, that I had gotten from a boss that I was, I think 3 different generations below at the time. She just said to me very curtly, perception is reality. And I took that personally. I thought that was like, something that she was saying about me and so on and so forth. And now all these many years later, I still think about that quote and how true it really is. But at the time, I was like, well, why am I wearing red and khaki and going through all this nonsense and having people yell at me every single day and, all of that? Like, I kind of wanted to quit. And I still remember getting some amazing advice, from one of my family members, like, you never quit a job without having another job lined up. And obviously, I think that has evolved over the years and in the sentiment around it. But I was like, this is too stressful, or this is too hard, or I deserve better, etc. And I just stuck through it. And I'm really glad that I did, because I ended up getting promoted to my second store. And now I've been in the staffing industry for, 10 plus years. So glad that I kind of made that transition as well.
Right. Now that's a great it's amazing how, what people say and how an individual absorbs that information and how impactful it can be. But you talk about, a couple of life-changing moments. One topic, and I know you and I have talked about this, and you also posted about this, that you talk about, being your authentic self. And I have kind of a formula that I usually use with salespeople, and I talk about authenticity, trust, and that is going to affect your win rate. Right. So it's like, are you your authentic self? And how do you build that trust and credibility with your clients? Therefore, is going to result into a greater win rate by doing that. So, how do you feel like you show up online and in meetings so that buyers trust you, not just your brand, but
Totally.
they trust you as an individual? Because at the end of the day, we all know people buy from people, right? So if I um, feel connected with an individual, that's going to make me that's going to flip the switch for me where I'm going to buy a certain product or a certain service.
Yeah, I love this question, and I know we have had many conversations about this too. And I think, there's been different, I guess, examples of it throughout my career, but I'll lean on the last, 7 or so months of my career that have been just a massive learning curve for me, working for Tracker. And candidly, I don't know that I anticipated this being a moment in my career where I'm a senior sales executive. Everyone's always told me, go into sales, go into sales. And I was always like, yeah, well, everything is sales. It is what it, kind of thing. But I there's two kind of recent examples that come to my mind. And one of them actually was literally just yesterday afternoon. I think the most important thing that I would love to share with people that are, tuning into your podcast, that is, people talk about it, but I don't know how well everyone does it in practice, is just listening.
Mm.
Like, just let people talk, ask a question, and then shut up. Like, there was a prospect that I was chatting with yesterday, and I had, of course, done a little bit of research on, the organization, and but I had done enough, not a ton, right, but enough research on the organization to know that they had a mission that I thought was really impactful and beautiful. And so while I'm like, "Oh, tell me about you, tell me about the company," so on and so forth, me saying, "I saw that you guys actually do an incredible amount of work for veterans and helping them find jobs. Like, that is really amazing to me. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about, like, how you came up with that idea, and what's that like for all of you?" And it just shifted the whole entire conversation. We ended up being on, the meeting for longer than it was scheduled for, because we were able to just make this genuine connection about something that had absolutely nothing to do with a software tool, of which there are so many. Um, so I think being curious and listening are kind of the two main things. Like, people do want to be able to share their story. So that's what I would say.
And I love that. It's not like we practice this. I mean, I think those are probably two of my most favorite topics that I like to talk about. Actually, there are some great, sales leaders out there. Jeffrey Gitmer, not to date myself, but also Simon Sinek talk about the power of listening. And a lot of times that is how you gain the trust of an individual. The fact that you show up, you're present, you're in the moment, and you're listening to what they're sharing with you. And the fact that you had the curiosity to ask those questions to get them to engage with you, I couldn't agree with you more. The power of listening is so effective, not just in sales, but if you think about it, in all relationships in life, right?
Yeah.
You have a better partner relationship if you are effectively listening and not just, spitting out what you want, out of the relationship. I think listening really does go a long way. Also with, parents and children, like we
Mhm.
were talking a little bit earlier today, the
Yeah.
fact of listening to what are some of the challenges your children have, or for children to listen to their parents. So that's my little, parenting tip for the day. But okay, so let me ask, can you think of one moment, other than the example that you just shared, that trust moved a deal forward?
Yes. So I have a couple that come to mind, but one particularly that has been, 3 or 4 months in the making. And, I've asked questions around, okay, I know you're exploring, other potential software partners, other ATS, other CRMs and all of that. And I want to know feedback on how I have performed for you as a potential customer. And if there's things that I could have done better each step of the way, now that we're at the finish line, that's only going to make me better for you if you end up, kind of moving forward with us, but also for any, potential partners in the future. So I think like just being courageous enough to like just shoot me straight. Like, what have you liked about how this rhythm has gone? What have you kind of been like, this makes no sense? And I did ask him, I said, this was before Staffing World, and I called him because I felt like we had created enough sort of rapport. And I said, listen, I'm doing a speed talk about keeping it real at work and being transparent. And I just want to get your feedback on, here's some of the things I'm going to be talking about, but I need to know that I'm speaking truth, to the folks I'm going to be talking to. And one thing that, him and I have talked a lot about is overpromising and under-delivering, and how he's experienced that a lot, when he's having people sell to him and say, "Oh yeah, we've got all these million things that we can do and AI and da 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 da." And then push comes to shove and you're using the product or whatever it might be, and it's like, "You said I wait, this is not at all matching up with what I said." So he just told me, the thing that I have appreciated the most about you and gained more trust in you, Cordelia, is you have said, "I don't know," more times than probably any other salesperson that I've ever worked with. And while that doesn't necessarily seem like it's a big deal, and it's probably not great for you to like say it that much, there's always been, I don't know the answer, but I am going to get you the answer. And every single time you've said, I don't know, you have followed up within 24 hours or less with an answer to my question.
Right.
So it's about the I don't know, but then recognizing I'm going to be honest that I don't know something, and I'm going to get you the answer. So those are a couple of things that I think has really, really, really helped, because I'm trying to always position myself as like, how would I want to be sold to if I was on the other side of the room?
Right. Oh my goodness. I have to say, Cordelia, just in this one question, you've given so many wonderful golden nuggets, I think, for the audience to walk away with. The fact of the transparency, the fact of acknowledging that you don't know. I constantly preach that to salespeople, saying it's okay. They're not expecting you to be the expert, especially if you're selling a a software platform that has many different technical components, and therefore you're not supposed to know all the answers. You're there for getting the answers and making sure that whatever questions that's holding them back from making a decision, you get that resolved for them. So great share, great nuggets. I also talk about, you mentioned about feedback. I think the one thing that a lot of times salespeople, because maybe they feel awkward or they're uh, embarrassed or their ego is bruised, where they won't ask for feedback, especially when you lose a deal. My attitude is, if you lose something, try to win something else. And the
Mm.
fact that you go to the client and you say, "Hey, I lost this deal, but tell me what could I have done differently?" Like that, I'm better for you next time around, I think goes hundreds of miles in gaining that credibility and that trust with that client. So thank you so much. That was a great,
Yeah.
yeah, great share. Let's talk a little bit. Another formula that I typically use is I call it time tactics equals a consistent output. And what I mean by that is how you manage your time, right? So, what is the one habit, one time habit that sticks for you and your team? Walk us through like the first 30 minutes so a salesperson could try it tomorrow. Like, is there a certain technique or a certain thing? And it could be as simple as calendar blocking, but if you have anything to share.
Yeah, I love this question. I think all of us, especially as salespeople, struggle with time management and we're like, oh, boom, 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 like, pulled in a million different ways. And like, what's the most exciting thing I can be working on right now, et cetera. For me, maybe this is a different answer than what you've gotten before. I actually have tried time blocking so many times in my career and it doesn't work for me. And I think that's okay. Like we all operate so differently. For me, what I have been religious about for man, the last, 10 to 12 years is I can't end my days without feeling like I have accomplished what was on my to-do list for that day and also having my to-do list ready for the next day. So, from a time perspective, if I know I've done and you're not ever going to, always accomplish every single thing you set out to do that day, things come up, but if I've accomplished the most important and urgent things that needed to happen that day, then I know exactly what I need to do to feel like, okay, I can close my laptop. Here is exactly what I'm walking into the next morning. So it's usually for me about the end of the day and the beginning of the day. So the second piece that I would say, if there is a task when I get up in the morning or when I'm starting my workday that is going to take me less than 2 minutes, that's the other thing I'm religious about. If it's less than 2 minutes and I can be done with it, then it's just done for the day. It's just done. I can knock it out. It's not all these like tiny little things that are going to add up. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. It's actually, hey, if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it literally right now. And then your inbox and your mind feels a little bit more clear. So those
Yeah.
are kind of the main two things that I hold myself to.
No, and that's great. I have to say I'm a big list person also. I not only have a digital list, I have a book with my action items on a day by day basis. And yeah, I mean, I have like one of those massive calendars sitting on my desk here. Like I have in many different places, right? I find if it's written down, it's gonna get done,
Me
right?
too.
What concerns me is those tasks that you think about at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, "Oh my god, I didn't have that on my to-do list." So, I
Mhm.
totally appreciate, what you said.
The other thing, if I can really quick, Anna, is I also think that when you've been just like on the grind for multiple hours at a time, whether it's like back to back to back meetings or you realize you haven't like eaten or stood up or whatever it might be, I also think that one thing I've done that actually does help me too in terms of being productive with the time I have each day is like, okay, I've got 5 minutes. I can do my 2 minute thing where I knock out some tasks, or I can just like go smooch my pups and just not stare at my computer screen. And then I'm back. You know what I mean? So giving yourself just like a tiny little quick break, I think does help kind of reset the jets too.
Exactly, yeah, you can't be go, 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 and then right, not have that proper break. Okay, so a question that has often been asked of me that I don't like, and it's so funny
Okay.
because as I've gotten older, I think I appreciate the question more and more, but
Yeah.
it's the old, "What advice would you give your younger self?" Right? So, is there a decision you would make faster next time and why? Like, do you think that there's a skill that you wish you could have started building earlier? Give me your thoughts on that. Like, if I was talking to Cordelia, who's 16 years old or 18 years old, and you're kind of figuring out the next step in your life, like what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I it's funny that you hate this question. I actually love it. I think about it a lot because I think of I can't exactly remember what the quote is, but it's something along the lines of like, take a moment of pause and look around you and recognize all the things you dreamed of or hoped for or had as goals 5 years ago. How many of those things are your reality today? And I think for a lot of us, usually there's like a good list that we can come up with of like, oh yeah, I did. I set a goal and I hit it and here I am right now. Um, the other quote that comes to mind is like, be who you needed when you were younger. I always think about that. Like, the example I shared with Target, I wish I would have had, a couple additional mentors or, things like that that were going to kind of help me along the way. I'm trying to think about like an actual decision or something that I would have done. But the biggest piece of advice that I give to, some of my mentees these days is everything doesn't have to be so serious all the time. Like, we have to let things go. Most things aren't personal, and you'll really know when they are, you know? And
Mm.
so being able to be like, man, okay, I could be up in arms or anxious or stressed about this, but oftentimes that isn't going to get you over the hump. So just like, what are the things that I'm grateful for every single day? Can I move on from this or do I need to have a conversation? And kind of just doing that gut check as often as possible.
Yeah, and I think you also kind of hit on. I'm a big fan of gratuity journals.
Oh, one.
I do it every day, and I wish my younger self would have been more in tune with that. Right, to hit the pause button, like you said, to kind of reflect on the things that are happening around you. The
Sure.
reason why I dislike the question at times, now I feel like I have to justify myself. But the reason why I dislike it sometimes is because, well, you know what though? I am who I am today because of the way I was in my younger stage, right? So it's like I'm grateful for where I am today. But I think you bring up a really valid point is that it's good to kind of reset and then almost validate what your goals and your objectives are and then fine tune it as you go along. Big fan of mentors also. I think you hit on that, which I think they can kind of help you see
Yeah.
things a little bit differently.
And I will say, I think the word that came to mind for me, and I remember vividly exactly where I was sitting when one of my mentors said this to me, but it was discernment.
Oh,
And in moments where you can feel yourself getting frustrated or reacting or whatever it might be, like the only thing that we can control is our reaction and response. And practicing discernment and like taking a pause before responding to an email that maybe wasn't, your favorite or, reacting in whatever the situation might be, like, how can I be the person that is practicing discernment so that whenever the next thing is that's going to come out of my mouth or the next strategic step, I've taken a pause to really think about sort of the different angles of it.
right. Cordelia, I'm starting to feel like you're living in my head right now because seriously, you bring up another point that I kind of learned the hard way, and I call it the 24-hour rule. So if somebody sends me client or internal or your manager, like whatever, wherever it's coming from, and they send you an
Yeah.
email or leave you a voice message or send you a text message that is bothersome, right?
Mhm. That's a good
Uh,
Yeah.
a little bit accusatory, maybe. At least that's the way you take it. And when my younger self, when I was in my 20s, I would have shot back right away, like
Same.
no hesitation, and put that person in their place was my mode of operation.
Paragraphs.
Yeah, and you realize how wrong that is because, sometimes, yeah, I was right as far as my sentiment, but calmer heads prevail, right? There's a reason for that expression. And I find when you wait 24 hours, you could be a little bit more objective. Or if I'm still upset, I actually call that individual because I'd rather have a phone conversation, or if I could see the person in person and say, I'm still upset about the message you sent me yesterday, but I need a little bit of time before I get back to you. And if the person tries to dig in a little bit deeper, I just say, really, just, I need my space right now. But I wanted to let you know I did get it and I
Mhm.
plan to have a conversation with you. But that time definitely makes you rethink of what comes out of your mouth.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now for our final question here, one impact for this lifetime, right? So if your career were a sentence, how would you want it to read? And then maybe you could share a couple of practices you use on hard days.
I think if my career were a sentence, it would be essentially like treat everybody the way you want to be treated. It is the golden rule, but in the sense of recognizing that everybody's facing some type of battle, and if if there was a legacy or, something that was tied to my name and my career, I would want people to think of me as a hard worker, empathetic, and optimistic. So those are kind of the three main pieces that come to mind for me in terms of my career. And then what was the second part in?
Oh, so I was saying if you have like practices, either one or two or three practices that you
Yeah,
use on hard
yeah.
days. And I think you mentioned a little bit about the reset and the hitting pause, but do you have anything else that you think kind of help you through hard days?
I definitely do. I think it's first and foremost being introspective and recognizing for each of us individually what's going to give us energy or fill up our cup is going to be different. But for me, it is always checking in with other people. And so on a hard day, I would rather know, okay, I just sent a text to my good friend saying, I'm thinking of you, love you, hope you're having a great day. Or calling my mom and saying, hey, how was your day? And just like stepping outside of myself to be like, we're all going through something. So give yourself the grace to know, like, yeah, it's a hard day, but there's other people that are having hard days, and you can come together and get that energy from one another to listen and support each other. I think always is very helpful for me on hard days, for sure.
Right, right. Well, yeah, I love that. And also, I think it's like putting in perspective what a hard day is,
Pardon.
right? When you think about I have a home. I have, pets that I love. I have a partner that I love. I have a job that I love. And it's like, you know what? The fact that I had one angry, client, I'm okay. Like at the end of the day, I'm not performing brain surgery here. So we're good.
Totally.
I'm not homeless, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of yeah. I mean, if you kind of start putting it in perspective, I agree with you. I think there's ways of just communicating with people and saying, hey, I'm here and I can listen to whatever is kind of going on. Well, Cordelia, listen, I have to tell you, this has been so much fun. I feel like we completely whizzed by this, but you're not off the hook yet. Yeah, I have a little bit of a surprise. We're going to do a little bit of a lightning round here. And yeah, and we are okay. So it's a lightning round. No, you don't have to give long
Okay.
speeches or, just like your gut answer only and what you're thinking of. Okay. First job on your resume.
Noodles and Company.
Oh my God, that's a great one. Okay. Most overrated buzzword in our industry.
I'm scared to say it, but AI.
Uh, I, I agree 110%. Stop saying the word, just
It
use
just
it.
doesn't
You
even
need
sound like a
it.
word anymore. We all are saying it. We're all wondering about it. It's here. It's not here. It's gonna be here.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Uh, I agree with you. Okay, what subject line do you open at 2 a.m.? If you're looking at your email, what subject line would get you to open it?
what is your order from Taco Bell?
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, favorite meeting snack?
Oh my gosh. I at my last company got voted for superlatives most likely to be eating on a call. Whoops. But usually it's like cheese and crackers or popcorn or like chips and hummus.
Okay, that's great. I mean, for me, if somebody asked me that question, it's like it's all my favorite meeting snack. Like it's whatever is in front of me at that time.
It might be an enchilada. I don't know.
Right, right, right. I might have to turn the camera off for that one, but what is your walk-on song?
Return of the Mac.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. I love it. Cordelia, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the podcast,
You too.
and I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I can't wait for next time.
Thank you for listening to the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Don't forget to subscribe and share. In our next episode, we talk to Aaron Wang on making your own luck and taking bigger bets. See you then.